Welcome back to Ladies Who Create, a show where we'll be interviewing the incredibly inspiring women who are trailblazing the design and creative industries. I'm your co host, Jess Rosenberg, and I'm a creative director currently working in the tech industry.
And I'm your other co host, Liz Meyer, a creative director and half of the Dataland Zero. In this episode, we're joined by the talented Steph Jeong, who is currently a product designer at Runway and who previously worked at Twitter and Wayno.
In this episode, we chat with Steph about how she became a designer, the mental obstacles she overcame throughout her career, how she stays on top of trends, and all things AI and design. Steph, welcome to the podcast. So excited
Yeah,
for you.
thank
Um,
you. I'm so excited to be here.
we can't wait to chat with you about so many things. I think to kick us off, you've had such an impressive career journey so far. We'd love to hear a little bit more around how you got started, maybe what your career journey has looked like up until this point.
Yeah, I guess I when I first thought about my career, I didn't necessarily think that I was going to be a product designer. I The reason why I got into design in the first place was because when I was choosing where to go for my college, my parents were really adamant that I pick a direction where I can um, basically make money for financial reasons, essentially. Because growing up as an immigrant, there was a lot of like pressure to kind of get to a really stable place as soon as possible. So um, I originally wanted to study fine arts, but then I thought about, oh, how can I kind of make that applicable to make money? And that's how I kind of found like communication design. And then so when I first went in with that mindset, I was like, okay, how do I actually become like stable and how do I actually find my career here? And I started to learn more about design and then realize actually it is a really, really cool thing to actually work on. I think even during my college years where I started to understand like what it means to have like graphic design and understand the history behind it, I started to realize like it is a form of art, just like in a different way where it's more applicable into the world. And then I think where I really felt like I became super passionate about design was when I first went into my agency job at Weno. It really helped me to like see different people who were genuinely super passionate about building really great experiences on web and people who care about craft and genuinely feel a lot of joy in creating something. And then I think that really sparked something in me to pursue this career and realize that there is like so much I can do in design that's not just about like financial reasons. And so now I'm kind of enjoying it for, the joy of creating. But essentially, yeah, that's why I think I ended up staying at an agency job for a really long time too, because it gave me that opportunity to see so many different parts of design where it wasn't just like product, but I was able to think about like branding or like communication or a lot of different aspects when it comes to design. So that's kind of like how I became a designer in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. I I feel like a lot of the people that we have spoken to thus far have had a lot of twists and turns on their career journey. Have you felt like you're on that kind of path, or do you feel like it's been pretty linear?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like my path has been crazy different. I think the biggest maybe change that I've experienced was actually getting acquired from Twitter when I was at Weno. I think that was like not necessarily a huge change in my career itself because I was still a designer, but I think like many maybe a lot of agency designers can relate to this. But I think initially I didn't really know what it meant to like be a designer in house. And so when our CEO of Weno first told me like, "Hey, I think we're going to sell the company to Twitter." I was kind of like, "Oh, what's going on?" um, And I think I was lucky in that like I we got acquired to a platform that I actively used and really enjoyed. So I think that was a good experience. And then after a lot of things happened at Twitter, I think I was at the time, basically, I was there at the time when Elon Musk was there and a lot of people got laid off, and I was part of the layoff as well. And so after that, I took a break and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do next. And so I think that was like my first time realizing, oh, like I could change things or like I could look for different types of work that I've never done before. And so, yeah, it wasn't a huge twist and turn necessarily, but a little bit of like unique experience in that I think going into a bigger product company from like an agency was definitely a different type of experience in terms of like the work that I have to do.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big twist, though. You're at Waymo, and then all of a sudden you're at Twitter, and then all of a sudden someone takes over Twitter. You're out.
We should definitely talk about the Elon Musk invasion, but I'm also super curious when you went from Weno to Twitter, were there parts that you immediately missed while you were at Twitter from working at an agency that were different?
Yeah, I think I realized, I mean, there was a ton of things that were just done differently. I think the things that I've missed was being able to work in a smaller team. I think at Weno, even when we grew pretty big, each project really consisted of like very small group of people. And then when I went to Twitter, a lot of things were around like whatever you're working on doesn't necessarily only impact your team, but it impacts the entire platform. And so there was a lot of like communication that just needed to happen across different teams, and getting to know people in such a big company was like definitely a big change for me. I think there's a lot of things I learned from that, but sometimes I did miss like, oh, just like being able to work closely with a very small group of team, and figure out things really fast and move on. So that was one big thing I missed. The things that I did enjoy though is being able to like kind of understand very different profiles of people and kind of understand why, oh, like their intention or like their needs for their team, and then being able to figure out the right solution or like compromising on those things was something that was really new to me that I actually ended up really enjoying as well. So in that sense, I think it was like good, but also something I missed in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Things you missed, but you also learned a ton just by being there.
For sure. Yeah, exactly.
What did it feel like once Elon came in? I mean, I heard all the stories and saw from the sidelines, but I'm super curious as someone who was there while it was all happening. Like, what was the team feeling? What were you feeling?
A wild time now that I look back. And this was also during a time that I was working on a very controversial project. Now that I look back, I felt like it shouldn't have been that controversial, but I was basically working on this project for creating the edit button on Twitter. And it, like now I looking back, it wasn't like a huge it shouldn't have been as big of a controversy in my opinion, but it definitely was because we haven't built it for a really long time. Um, but yeah, like it was when he started to come in, he started to also weigh in into these projects to kind of like tie his identity to it. And I think a lot of things felt like very chaotic in a way, because people wanted to impress him or like people wanted to be part of the conversation. So it was definitely a lot to take in at the moment. And then by the time the layoffs started to happen, I think things did feel really hostile in a way. I think at the time, my manager, who was the CEO of Weno, Hallie, did a lot of things to kind of mentally protect us and try to make sure that we still have a normal day-to-day base like life basically. But I think at the time, like nobody really knew what was going on. And when I woke up one day and opened my computer and I was locked out of my computer was like how I found out I was laid off. So
It's awful.
yeah, it's a
The worst
wild time.
way. Ugh.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. I think now that I look back though, I don't know. When it happened, it felt really surreal to me, and I think I was in a really like a fortunate position where I was able to take a little bit of time off at the time. But I think what was really heartbreaking to see was like a lot of people also have visas or um, other things that really like impact their life. And I think as an immigrant, I understand what it means to like lose your right to be in a country. And I think those were the moments where people were like, "Oh, this is really bad."
I feel like that was a mark of the beginning of all the tech layoffs, like where it
Yeah,
kind of gave people permission to just be like,
yeah,
we
right.
can lay all these people off and we don't really care that they have visas and we don't really, it's just a heartlessness that has taken over the tech industry. I was just going to say the layoffs via email are just
Oh, god.
horrendous. Not
Or
okay.
layoffs via no communication whatsoever other than being locked out of your computer is probably the worst possible way to experience, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild to be honest. Yeah, I think a lot of the things also we weren't basically being like we didn't get any communication at the time, so that was just like you were just kind of sitting in the void at that point or in the chaos.
Wild. There were a few companies that went through massive layoffs after that happened that, obviously when that happens for anyone at any company, it's not great. But I think it was Airbnb that did a layoff. And I just remember reading about the way they handled it was so gracious and at least kinder than how I read it, they were happening at other companies. And so there's obviously no great way to lay people off, but there are better ways. And the companies that did it, I think, will be remembered for the ones that, had empathy and kindness for their people. And the ones that
Yeah,
didn't,
absolutely.
will be remembered as the evil corporations that let people go and not the great ways. But
For sure. Yeah.
yeah,
I think it is really terrifying to be laid off and to see a lot of mass layoff happen, to know that like you're now in this pool of like interviewing with all of these amazing people who are also now looking for jobs, and we're like all in this together, but we're also like, oh, now like there's a lot more competition that happens. And yeah, so it was a very like I think unfortunate time for a lot of people during, especially around that time, I guess.
Yeah, I think there is something to that. I mean, it's still happening basically daily, where all these layoffs are happening, and it's really partially why I am so dedicated to having my studio because I'm like, I don't know if how do I look up against all of these amazing talented people?
Yeah,
I Yeah, just finding yourself in that situation is just horrible, especially if you have this amazing job and you have an amazing team and everything's great. But yeah, how did you find your way out of that and find your way, to your next position?
honestly, I think I was really lucky at the time. I was really burnt out by the end of like when layoffs happened, and I think a lot of us knew that it was coming. So I mentally told myself like, oh, it's okay. Like if I can take a little bit of break here, and I want to do that, then maybe like I can slowly start to look into things. So initially, when I got laid off, um, I didn't even start to look for jobs, to be honest. And yeah, I was super fortunate that I was able to do that at the time. And then I worked with a really amazing recruiter, or an amazing recruiter, like basically reached out to me at the time because I think he was reaching out to a lot of great people from Twitter who got laid off. His name is Garrett Fowler, and he's amazing to work with. If anyone wants to work with an amazing recruiter, but he essentially reached out to me and he told me about this opportunity at Runway, which is an AI company. I currently work there now, but he essentially put the connection for me. And then initially, I was like, "Oh, I want to take a break, a little bit." So maybe I can just start the conversation, but I am not actively looking. But and then I met with the head of people from Runway, and she is an incredible woman. Her name is Anna Shalan, and I I basically talked to her and I was like, "Oh, it's amazing that like she was just such a great representation of like how friendly and put together and amazing and talented like Runway was." And I got more interested into learning more about the company essentially. And so that's how I started to talk to Runway. And then but I still wanted to take some time for myself. So I essentially continued on the conversation for a while and then started working there like 3, 4 months later.
So you did take that time. What did you do during that time? That break?
Yeah. I mean, I was basically really burnt out by the end of when I was getting laid off. So before I got laid off, I actually went on a medical leave and took time for myself, which was like a really difficult journey to take because I think sometimes I am a workaholic in that like I feel like I have to constantly work to be able to like prove myself and prove that I am like a designer or like prove that I like uh am still working on or like I'm actively building my career. But then like by the end of it when I came back, I realized that I wasn't ready to go back to work and then I got laid off. So I was like, "Oh, I'll take off 3 more months." And then I think during that time I didn't even really do anything. I remember just like sitting there and I was like, "Oh, I have nothing to do." And I like didn't really know what to do with myself, and I think I just did whatever I liked at the time. Like I traveled a little bit. Uh I also just like did things like really small things that I liked to do instead of taking on a hobby because I was like, "Oh, I cannot take on another hobby right now. I just want to lie down and like binge eat chips or like I want to sit down in the sun and like read a book." Like those type of small pleasures I just try to enjoy more. And then I think that was like one of the best breaks I've ever taken. I don't know, sometimes doing nothing is really really great.
I love doing nothing.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
binge eating chips and just binge watching some
Oh,
really horrible reality show on like Netflix or something. I just love it.
you love it.
Yeah, 100%.
Love is
Oh my
blind.
god, I love Love is Blind.
No cream and onion.
I
It's perfect combination.
I watch it as it comes out, like the day it comes out. I'm like, wait, it came out. Get alerts. It's it's horrible, but it's so fun.
Yeah, it's like junk food
So
for your
good.
brain. So necessary.
It feeds your soul, you
Hey.
know.
Yeah, the theme of taking time off has come up quite a bit throughout different women we've been talking to on the podcast. And it sounds like something many women, folks in general, are doing throughout their careers and really coming out the other side of it feeling rejuvenated and refreshed and feeling like themselves again. Is that how you felt after taking this time off?
Yeah. I don't know what it was, but I think by the time I decided to take a medical leave, um, I I was like mentally really, really struggling. because I think I was really, really burnt out, but it was really hard for me to like accept that I was burnt out and accept that like, oh, I need this break. And I think that is like something potentially a lot of women go through too, because a lot of times like we are pushing so hard to prove ourselves to like in our jobs and in a lot of different things. And like when you say like, oh no, like that's it, like I cannot do more, is it feels like failure. But then I realized actually it isn't at all. And everything that I cared about so much, all of the work that was so important to me, actually, like I'm a designer, and at the end of the day, if I don't like get something done, nobody is going to die. Like that's the reality of it. And then I realized, uh, of course, making amazing things and making creative things like matter a lot. But if I am burnt out, is there anything creative left in me? And I feel like being able to take that break, like I really wanted to I realized, like, I really needed this break, and I felt really rejuvenated after, so I felt
That's
like I needed it, yeah.
just gonna say that I really commend you for talking about the medical leave. I actually took a medical leave from college. I was really overwhelmed and I just didn't know where I was going in life and I didn't know why I was there. So I took some time off and it really helped me realize I wanted to go to art school and I wanted to be a designer. I was going through like pre-med kind of stuff before, which is
Oh
very,
my god.
very different. But, it just like that break and being able to admit that you need a mental t time off and getting the medical leave and going through the process. I know how hard it is to go through the process. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of evaluation. But yeah, I really commend you for talking about it openly because I do think that a lot of women don't want to talk about their mental health struggles, even though a lot of us have stuff going on. And, it's really important to speak it out loud because it happens to a lot of people. So, yeah, I just wanted to that's great that you're open about it. And now that I've been
Yeah.
open about it, yay.
Yay!
I've never taken medical leave, but I probably should have many times throughout my career, if I'm being honest. And I agree. I think this is something that a lot of women, especially, don't talk about. But, so many people are feeling the feelings of burnout and stress and even depression and anxiety, and feel like if they talk about it, they are at risk of looking like a failure or they're not doing as much as they should be. And that's not the case. It's you're feeling that way because you're likely doing too much or you're working in environments that aren't conducive to your well-being. Um, and I've found, and I've experienced this myself too, that a lot of women place blame on themselves for feeling the way that they feel, when in reality, it's not them at all. It's what's happening around them. And so there's so much to unpack there, so much. And I hope it is something that more people, more women can openly talk about because it's super important.
Yeah, and I think that is something also I was really lucky in that, at the time when I was working at Twitter, I was working really closely with this woman named Michelle Morrison, and she suggested it to me essentially, and she was like, "Oh, um, I know you're going through a lot, and when I talk to you, I feel like you're not doing well. There is this option that you could potentially look into, and if you need help in like making this happen, I'm here for you." And she essentially helped me through the entire process. And I think if Michelle wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have taken it. And so, like, I think for me, it's really important that, like, if I see somebody who needs this break and is just denying it, I also want to kind of be like Michelle and be that person for them too. So I think it's important that we openly talk about it and talk about our mental health and make sure that we're putting that up front
Yeah,
for the most important thing. Yeah,
that's amazing that you had Michelle as your mentor in that process. I hope this episode can serve as that for women who might be struggling too.
for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about people in leadership that I think stereotypically look a certain way in our industry, particularly, there's a lot of men that work in our industry and there isn't a ton of diversity. How have you kind of approached that throughout your career?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I I think in the beginning of my career specifically, I didn't have this, and I remember bringing this up with my boss then, which is his name's Hallie, who was the CEO of Bueno, and I think he basically realized that yes, like we lack diversity in our team, especially like it's hard for our team to kind of like see themselves in leadership positions and like essentially like grow themselves into those positions. And so he put a lot of effort into hiring women of different backgrounds and different ethnicity. And I think I was really fortunate in that I worked under somebody who really cared about their employees' growth and cared about their well-being. And yeah, I I think once that happened, like, he started to hire a lot of women who was essentially like a role model for me, and they taught me a lot of great things, especially in people skills. I think the biggest lessons I've learned there is that I think all women actually essentially who I looked up to taught me one thing, which is that you always think about everyone's intention in the room, like why they're there or what they want or what they need out of this conversation. And I feel like that is something that nobody teaches you unless you actively, I don't know, like learn it by like learning. By being in the room, but yeah, it was one of the biggest lessons they've taught me, and I'm so grateful that I was able to have that role model and that kind of like mentorship essentially.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot about Ueno and Holly, that um, the just the people that have come out of Ueno, like the cohort of designers that have come out of there, have all been incredibly strong and independent designers, and they all have like really unique things to say and bring to the design world. I I'm jealous. I wish I had gotten to work there while it was around. I was really excited about it maybe coming back, but I don't think it is. But yeah, now that you have been through what you've been through, how do you feel you can advocate for yourself as a designer, as a woman, as a person of color, all that, all those things compounding together? Or if you have any advice for other people listening.
Yeah, I one thing that I've learned is that you're gonna be the best advocate for yourself. I kind of learned this in an interesting way too, also at Wano, in that there were times like I asked for raises or promotions, and I was like really apologetic about it. I was like, "Oh, I understand. I'm really grateful for the fact that I get to work here and for this money and all of these things." And I remember like I was like, "Oh, I basically was telling Holly like, I really wanted to be promoted, or what are the things like I can do better." And he told me, he was like, "Yeah, you should get promoted." And he basically was like, "Yeah, here's the raise, here's the promotion." And then he taught me one thing, which was like, "Oh, you should never be apologetic for fighting for the things you think you deserve. Uh, you probably know yourself the best, and 99.9 out of the times, like, you probably already deserve it. And so there's no reason why you should say, like, you should express such, I don't know, like be like so apologetic as you are right now. Just like ask for the things you need, and if you feel like you deserve it, it's probably true. And nobody else is going to fight for you as hard as you do. So like you have to be able to do that the best." And I think that really stuck with me in a way. Uh, I feel like now like I mean that doesn't mean that like I can go out of my ways and be like extra confident or like extra, I don't know, over the top and think that like I can do more than what I actually can do. But I think in general, like you have to believe in yourself and you have to be strong and be more confident in the things that you ask for because you probably worked really hard for it. Especially like women, I think a lot of times we gaslight ourselves and think like, oh, I don't deserve this, or like, oh, but there's these people who are like a lot better than me. And yes, some of them will be actually a lot better than you, and that's okay. Um, but you also have to fight for the things that you deserve, and that's also okay.
I've received similar feedback throughout my career. I once had a manager tell me, like, think of all the people in senior leadership roles that you might know that you don't think deserve to be there, but somehow they're there because of their confidence. And that always keeps my imposter syndrome in check at times too. I'm like, oh, wait, well, that person's in that role. Like, are they qualified for that? I don't know. But somehow they managed to get there. And that alone is impressive. So,
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
level of steamrolling your way through life that you just have to be okay with.
Like, if
It's
you're going to gaslight yourself in one way, I think it's
yeah,
like to gaslight yourself in that way where like, yes, I can do
opposite way.
this.
yeah,
And
operate with the confidence of a man who should totally not be where they are.
oh,
Just
yeah.
walk in, be like, I am the greatest. This is my story. I am the
Well,
main character.
it's the
But
Taylor Swift song. If I was a man, I'd be the man.
oh, yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was also, I guess this doesn't quite piggyback off the last question, but I'm very curious on how you stay up to date on the latest digital culture, like especially being at Runway where you're learning so much and being part of emerging tech. Yeah, just how are you finding it like being part of this new industry basically?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite wild. I feel like AI right now is so crazy. There's a lot of good crazy and bad crazy, obviously. Um, but yeah, like I guess the way I stay on top of it is, I mean, in general, like I feel like I do a lot of research on existing or like up and coming new technologies around like AI. And even if it's not AI, if it's any type of new technology, I at least take a look at it. I also just download a lot of different things just to like try things out as like apps or whatever. Um, but I also like end up always going back to like old things too, like normal things, day-to-day things that are just like cool or like history that's really cool or old graphic poster designs that's really cool because I think even though there is like new technologies that happen, um like things have been used or like like there's like so much history around like how people have been living and how people have been designing and that like a lot of times like a lot of those solutions can work for the work that I do even if it's like new technology. It's just like seeing different ways of how we can make something that is so new happen into our present. And so I feel like that's kind of how I stay on top of things. Although I don't know if I am like always on top of things. I feel like AI is so fast, like everything is happening so fast that I'm also just like, oh my God, what is that new thing that just happened overnight?
Yeah, I download every program. I'm like very fascinated by the video programs in particular right now. Just it's crazy in that
It
realm.
is.
So fun to play with. I've been tinkering on my phone a bit, just like bringing Mid-Journey renders into Runway and bringing those to motion, even in like the most basic ways, and then seeing what other people create. It just blows my mind what's possible now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I am so grateful for the community pages where there's like the feed of community work. Without that, I would have no idea where to start. I- It's the technology is so new that my brain can't quite wrap itself around the concept of like, okay, so you take this image and then you throw it into Runway and then it moves. Like, okay, but how does it move? What can you do? I do not understand. And then so yeah, the community pages are wonderful. So
Yeah, actually,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's a really, really big, I guess, design question for probably any AI companies. Like, how do we make this comprehensible? How do we make this not so scary? Like,
Mhm.
because if we didn't know anything about AI, I mean, when I first found out about AI too, I was like, oh, that is scary. And like, I think like basically there's always that big design question in AI where like how do we demystify AI and how do we make it actually usable so that like people don't have to understand the rocket science behind it, but just like understand it so that understand like the basics of it so that they can make something that they want and then actually apply it in their day-to-day life. So I feel like
Yeah.
that is like the essential user question always.
Right.
And
Yeah, so your role at Runway, can you explain a little bit about what you do day to day and like what does a normal day look like for you?
yeah, so right now my role is I my title is staff product designer at Runway, um, which and I guess like on my day-to-day basis, I mean, it always changes a lot because everything changes so fast in AI space. But on my day-to-day, I work on my own projects as an IC, but also I oversee all of the product design projects at Runway. So I work really, really closely with other designers to help them set the directions for the projects that they're working on, and then give them feedback on a weekly basis and make sure that like design projects run smoothly as much as possible. And then yeah, that's essentially kind of what I do. I think the part that I enjoy the most is like kind of seeing how much we can accomplish and how fast we move to like build stuff into the product. So yeah.
Yeah. With your current role, do you find a lot of work in like user research and, figuring out like different onboarding flows and figuring, just explaining the product because it is so new and so I don't know if AI is advanced in that way, but it's just some people might not understand any of it. So yeah, like finding the balance between pandering to someone's non-understanding and, making it not as accessible. Yeah.
Yeah. I think actually a lot of designing for AI is like designing for the newbies.
Man.
I think there's obviously experts in AI, and I think as AI grows as an industry, will probably become more and more complicated and more pro based. But I think still right now there's a lot of like new users that are coming in or trying out AI on a daily basis, and so that like basically we have to make the product as simple as possible for the new users to come in and not see like some crazy dashboard and think like, oh my god, how am I supposed to make a video out of this, or oh my god, how am I going to generate an image out of it. And so a lot of it is like making it as simple as possible. Um, because I think when we first get like the initial prototype from our researchers, there's a ton of things that you can actually do or you have to think about. And so essentially, you're thinking like, what is that one action that our users can do? What are the things that we can automate or like basically set to a specific standard and then make it super easy so that like all they have to do is like put in one input or like click on this one thing. And so like a lot of times like we're thinking about what's that one action and like how do we make this complicated process simple? How can we kind of like write a one sentence thing so that people know what's happening? Because like most of the times people also don't read. So
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah.
Do you work with content designers on your team as well?
So right now we don't have content designers, although I think that is something that we will probably continue like start to look into as our team grows. Um, but we do have a brand and brand team and our creative director or head of creative, he comes from like a um, writer writing background. So a lot of our tone of voice or things like that basically come from him. And yeah, like a lot of our creative team is from different kinds of creative, um, both from writing world, um, video world, art
Nice.
world, a lot of different places.
We know that you just moved to Paris. Um, can you tell us a little bit about that and what made you move and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I moved to Paris because I always had this dream of living in some part of Europe for a little bit. I think I have a international background as well, where like I was born and raised in Seoul, Korea, and then I moved to the US when I was like 11, and I moved different cities to different cities within the US. And I think my personality is kind of like I have to be in different places and try things out, and then after a while I kind of get sick of the city and then I have to move around a little bit again. And so once I like felt like I kind of went to a couple big cities in the US, I felt like I had to kind of change continents and see what's out here. And I think wanting to move to Europe also comes from the influence that I had at Bueno, where like I worked with a lot of Europeans. And so I was just hoping that I could move to some part of here one day. And then now my partner is French. And so we ended up having the conversation. And I was like, oh, I think now is a good time to move to Paris because I love Paris. I love food. I love like the culture here. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. I don't know how long I'll stay, but for
It's
now,
amazing.
I'm loving it.
How long have you been there so far?
It's only been like it's been well, I moved here last July, so
Okay.
yeah,
So
like
that's
9
solid.
months.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, yeah. What an inspiring city for a creative to be living in too. What are some of
Yeah,
your do you have like specific spots in Paris that you go to get inspired?
I mean, Paris is like such an amazing city for inspiration, I think. I think one thing that shocked me as like a person who came from the US is that or even Korea is how much history is built into the city. And I think just seeing how people build on top of the history rather than rebuild everything shows a lot of different ways on how like, they purposely design something to continue using that. And I think in that sense, like Paris actually is like a living example of how design develops over time. And so I think the city itself is like really inspiring in that sense. And then there's obviously all these amazing museums that I can just go to and see beautiful stuff. I love Musée d'Orsay just because the building itself is so beautiful. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like something about Paris that I really love is also like maybe Parisians won't agree with this, but I think coming from New York, I feel like Paris is a slower pace. Like people take time to eat their lunch, and I don't know. People are, I think, better at waiting here than more so than in Korea or New York. So a lot of those moments, I feel like it actually does inspire me to like take a little bit of time, think about things a little bit more, enjoy the things that are on kind of like day to day basis kind of thing. And so yeah,
That yeah, slowing down so you can speed up.
yeah,
I remember thinking
Yeah.
that when I went to Paris most recently too, especially in the middle of the day, like business people just taking like 2-hour lunches in the middle of the day. I was like, that is amazing. And we're just not used to doing that here. Like I used to live in New York too. And if anything, I'd run out across the street, get a salad and bring it back to my desk, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like a eating a slice of pizza as I walk or sitting in my car. I've never lost. I'm from Long Island, so that like it's like ingrained in my DNA. that you eat as you do something. You do not stop.
Okay.
You can't
Okay.
stop. I don't even sit down when I eat like dinner. It's
That's
very
that's like the multitasker too. I think that's a lot of part of a lot of New York, like, hustle culture. Whereas in Europe and in France and in Paris, like, people are very intentional with how they spend their time and how they show up with, different activities, which I love. It's such a good reminder.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it is
for
a good
sure.
reminder. It's much more healthy. And you
Yeah.
can eat a chocolate croissant, kind of chocolate, as you're walking or whatever.
Yes.
But like you can like at least like walk to the park and then sit down for a
Or
little
the
bit.
crepes rolled up in the cone, with the paper cone from the side of the street. Oh, so good.
Oh,
The
so
butter,
good.
it's
So
delicious.
jealous right now.
Or the crepes with, like, the fried egg in the middle.
Mm.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, so good. Oh my gosh, I could talk all day about French food. It could be a separate
Oh yeah.
episode.
I mean, just in general, like what are your hobbies besides design? Because we know you like to eat French food and you like to take that time for, rejuvenation. But like when you close your computer, what do you do?
Yeah. Recently I'm really, really occupied with learning French for survival reasons and also to because I actually really enjoy like learning a new language. I think learning French has taught me so many different things because as you both know, like French as a language is so complicated. And there's so many different rules around things. But also like it's so interesting to me that even if I don't fully speak French, there's like a lot of things that I can understand contextually or like things that are so similar to English sometimes that I'm just like really baffled by. But recently, yeah, I'm like really, really into learning French and being able to like practice it sometimes. I try to practice with my partner as much as possible. And I feel like when I say a sentence, it takes like 5 minutes. And so I'll like say something and then he'll just be like, we, and it'll be
Oh,
more like a yes or no question. But I'm getting there.
but that's
Yeah.
nice though. Like at
Yeah.
least to have the support, and be like, can I just use you as a sounding board for my accent or the sentence that I just learned? Or do you use like an app or do you go to like an actual class or something like that?
Yeah. I started going to this school called Alliance Française. And then the reason why I decided to do an in-person class is because is like I work remotely full time. And so I have like no routine to go outside. And so I decided like, well, I want to like leave my house and meet people outside of like just like online conversation and be able to do that. So I did that for a while. It was really hard to do on top of like my full-time work. So what I'm trying to do is like 1 month I'm gonna go in person and then 1 month I'm gonna do online classes and see. But both of those classes I'm taking like from the school.
That's awesome.
Very
I
cool.
always felt, especially when your teacher is just fluent and then just only speaks French at you for an hour and a half, and your brain is like short circuiting.
Oh my
It
god,
helps
absolutely.
I actually have
because
I'm curious, especially now, like, for me now, I'm in a period where I'm taking a break and I'm very much exploring and recovering from burnout and thinking what I want next. I'm curious, after you were done with your break and moving into your new role at Runway, were there any learnings or things that you did differently in your new role that, you brought with you to kind of avoid future burnout?
I think one thing that I did, I don't know if this is actually a good recommendation, but to be honest, like one thing I did was I was really open about my recent burnout to my current boss, Alejandro, and He is an amazing boss. But I let him know like what I went through in terms of like how I am a type of person who tends to be workaholic, who tends to like not be able to find a balance really well, and um, that essentially, I think, letting him know that and him realizing that also like often puts me in check too, because sometimes he'll be like, "Hey, I think it's about time you take some time off," or like, "Hey, I think it's okay that if you today like you have other things to do, it's okay to like take some time for yourself." And I think that was like a really healthy thing for me to like communicate that to my boss, and so that like somebody else also puts me in check. um and then I mean, I'm also actively also trying to like find other things to do. Like learning French or moving to Paris was like a big decision that I did for myself that's not so career oriented. I think like essentially I was like, oh, I this is like a one-time thing that I can do for myself, and it has nothing to do with like my work. It's purely out of joy of like wanting to live in Europe and wanting to enjoy another city, wanting to learn another language. So I think just like being able to make that decision was something that I couldn't have possibly done if I didn't take this time off and realize like work is work and life is life, and I need to be able to make choices for my life before work. So essentially, yeah, that has been a big thing for me.
That's amazing. And for what it's worth, I think that is a fantastic suggestion in telling that to your manager. And just being vulnerable and honest, sets such a great precedent for the relationship too. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
for
Yeah.
sure.
When I was a manager of, um, I had product designers and brand designer under me, and yeah, I felt like a lot of the time people wouldn't be super honest when they were feeling bad, like having a bad day or feeling sick, and you could tell. You can tell when someone's sick, like when you're talking to them, and you're like, "Are you okay? What's going on? Are you please just take some time off." Like, what's the point of being at work and like giving half of yourself? If if you could just go take a nap, would you come back feeling better? Would that help you? Yeah, okay, then just do it. Just don't worry so much. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of power in being a manager, and there's a lot of power in being like a leader, and a lot of people don't realize how much they can affect a designer or, someone that's an IC. Like, just do better as a manager and take care of people. But yeah, there's also that side of like, you gotta say what you need
Mhm.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in like remote culture. You can't really I will look for something wrong. I'll be like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" But a lot of people won't.
There was
But
Yeah.
something, yeah, we did on my team at Webflow that I really loved, and I try and bring this into every new team that I go into, but we created user guides for ourselves. So whenever someone new joined the company, we had a template. We built them in Webflow just because that made sense to do that with the product. But it was a user guide that kind of you would create and it would outline, what you're like what your preferences are and how you collaborate, what your growth areas are, like this is what it might feel like to work with me. Here's what some of my past blind spots have been. And it's such a great way to kind of like manage up and across both to your manager
mm,
with like your collaborators. And everyone would kind of like pin that into their Slack profile. So it was always readily available for other people to see. But I always thought that was lovely and such a great way for folks to kind of set a precedent into what it would be like to work with you.
Yeah, that sounds really amazing and something that potentially I could also bring to Runway. Um, I think like to Liz's point, like the big difference now I have in my role at Runway versus like what it was at Twitter or Weno is that now that I am like also leading a lot of the projects at Runway, there are moments where I see like the team like not feeling at their best self, or like um like when I know that they're struggling with certain things, like I feel like I try to bring that empathy as much as possible there too and try to look out for things, like you
Yeah.
said, because I
Yeah,
feel like
it's
a lot of times people are not honest. Yeah.
Totally. And you
yeah,
actually you
'cause
have that your history and experiencing that yourself was an advantage because now you can more easily point that out in other people and help them.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, there's a lot of power in just like recognizing something is wrong or off in someone else, and it, like what you were saying about that, the woman that you worked with at Twitter that helped you with taking your medical leave. I mean, that one act of kindness, it probably felt so normal to her. Just be like, hey, just by the way, don't worry about it. But to you, it meant so much, and it allowed you to take another path with your whole life and your career. So yeah, I think like just continuing that chain of empathy and giving a little grace to people is, I don't know, nice. But then
Yeah,
again,
for sure.
as someone who's like, I like to think I'm an optimist. I know I'm not. So it's just very fun. Yeah.
I'm a cautious optimist, I think, but that's the New Yorker in me.
I,
Yes.
I'm like a natural pessimist because I know everything is going to just go wrong. But you know what? I like to just at least pretend for as
I
long
think
as I can and be happy
that's
about it.
that's what cynicism is, right? You're like kind of a pessimist. Maybe there's a good glimmer of false optimism sprinkled in there.
Maybe
Things are
just,
funny, but they're actually really sad.
yeah, yes, yes. You have to find humor in the depression. That's
Yeah,
like the Long
Yes.
Island motto.
the survival
Like,
trick.
It
it's
reminds me
fun.
of this one emoji where like you're smiling on the outside but crying on the
Oh,
outside.
Oh, with the sunglasses?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that one because
Yes.
that's me all the time.
That's me.
Me? I love that. But yeah, I feel like I know you so well now.
Yes.
And yeah, we want to be conscious of your time because we are over actually.
I know.
But
Talk to you all day. This is great.
yes, absolutely. And definitely want to come visit you. I
I
think
know.
that could be
Yeah.
like an offsite. Like
Yeah.
just you create offsite.
Yes, that would be amazing. You take us all your
Yeah.
favorite croissant shops.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Please visit Paris and definitely let me know when you guys are here so that I can take you to all the cute little spots of Paris and watch people.
Thank you so much, Steph. It was such a joy speaking with you today, and thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was like such a fun moment for me too. So, really great that I got to meet both of you and really excited to hear all the other podcasts that you guys create.